All right, here we go again. We're on Tropical Sacrifice. It's another friendly between Tahn and Kupermeister. So, you know, that last game with Coop as the Terran, but Tahn didn't have any banelings. And I can't help but feel that a handful of banelings could have had a very different outcome in that game. Because they just make such a big difference. You know, it was a marine heavy, well, it wasn't just marine heavy composition, it was only marines in Kupermeister's composition. So I don't know. Anyway, this game, has there been any mention of race? There has not. So Kupermeister has not advertised what race he is, and Tahn has not asked. So Kupermeister as the random is Zerg, which of course was Kupermeister's race from last year, and I suspect is still his preferred race, the one that he's going to feel most comfortable with, especially when it gets, you know, in general, if you do play random, what you find is while you're getting used to your sort of off races, you're normally okay for the early part of the game. It's once it gets into mid and late game that it starts to become much, you know, it becomes less comfortable in terms of like knowing what to be at. The early game, generally, you get a few builds down, you get your timings reasonably crisp, and that sort of comes together. It's kind of knowing what to do. It's knowing those points in the game when you're gonna have a mineral bank, when you're gonna have whatever, when you're going to be vulnerable to this or that, when you need to kind of time your transition points from sort of those lower tier units and say, right, it's time to stop bothering building roaches, they're useless, and get into lurkers or whatever. It's kind of knowing that stuff that takes so much longer to learn. So you know, has Tahn found out yet that he is playing against a Zerg? I'm not so sure. His Overlord path seemed quite different from this one, so I'm not so sure they passed each other at all. Looking at the builds up on the production tab, you can see how similar they are. The pull timings and the hatch timings almost identical. You know, if we look at the extractors as well, we'll probably find, yeah, these extractors have gone down at the same time too. There's literally exactly the same amount of gas mined from each. So both of them at present following very similar builds. Sixlings coming out for Kupermeister only momentarily before the Sixlings are building for Tahn. And you know, again, that's pretty standard Zerg build. Very standard indeed. In fact, you go hatch, gas, pull finishes, you get some lings up for a little bit of map presence, a little bit of scouting, whatever. You get a couple of queens up, and then you get a couple more queens up. You get your third up, you drone up, or depending on what you've seen with your scouting lings, you panic and you build a bunch of stuff. So it's going to be about where these builds diverge, or whether or not either of our players decides to just get the elbow on the ling button and crank out an absolute world of lings, which, you know, can be tricky. Again, in Zerg versus Zerg, pretty standard to get a banling nest up, because of that possibility of somebody just going, oh look, it's 3.5 minutes, speed is finished, I've got 2 bases with queen injects, so I've got loads of larvae, I've got loads of minerals, not much gas. I'll tell you what, I'll just build 30 lings and send them across the map and see what happens. And you know, to defend against 30 lings, like 2 good banling hits turn that into substantially less. Now it looks like Tahn might be able to get the cancel on this, because I don't know that there's enough lings here from Coop to actually see this off. Now Tahn's being a little bit cautious. I'd been tempted to engage those lings, but no, there's definitely enough lings from Coop. So what has Tahn got at home if these decide to go across the map? Because that is 22 lings, I think. Ooh, look at that. There's actually 34 lings total for Tahn, but I think a lot of those are in production, are they? So, yeah, this is the balance that you've got to be able to do. Sorry, it's tricky. It's easy to overreact to suddenly panic and go, oh my goodness, there's a world of lings coming, and you build your own response to that, and it's an even bigger world of lings. And then if the lings don't come across the map, you're like, well, what do I do now with all these lings? I guess I'll go and attack. Yeah, so fiddly times. Anyway, the Roach Warren is almost there for Tahn. I could have sworn Oh, I must have looked at the wrong tab. I must have been looking at drones. Tahn never had that many lings at all, and still actually only has 9 lings. So this could get incredibly dicey indeed. All of these lings are easily going to cancel this, and with only two queens to defend, these queens need to move forward and block this. Because otherwise these lings are going to come into the men. One queen is moving into position, but this one's in totally out of position. Full surround. Oh, this is going to be GG. Tahn, my man, you didn't see. I mean, when you were on the other side of the map and the sort of lings that came to see you off appeared, that was kind of a bit of a clue that he had substantially more lings than you. And while you don't want to overreact to that, you do want to react to it in some way. So ideally the fuller wall here with the queen in it, and maybe a spore crawler or something behind it, you know, with the double evo, something like that to keep you safe. Or the safety Bentley nest is the more obvious choice, because as I say, like 30 lings, you know, 4 Benleys, no lings. And though, you know, it's a very cost efficient way to keep your base safe from ling aggression. It was pretty close, because it wouldn't have been much longer before Tahn had some roaches out, and you know, roaches easily block ramps and they get in the way and they just beat lings generally. Roaches just take so long for the lings to nibble down. Anyway, that is GG.